Early life and star search. Countess Vaughn was born on August 8, 1978, in a small town called Idabel, Oklahoma. It was a quiet place, with only a few thousand people living there, and it was far from the bright lights of Hollywood. But even as a little girl, Countess had something special. She loved singing, and she loved performing. By the time she was 3 years old, people in her community were already noticing that she had a voice unlike any other. It wasn't just cute or sweet, it was powerful and emotional. When Countess sang, people stopped what they were doing to listen. They would look at each other in amazement because this tiny girl had a voice that seemed too big for her small body. Her parents, Sandra and Leo Vaughn, saw that too, and they wanted to support her talent in every way they could. They encouraged her to practice, to perform in church, and to take every chance to showcase her voice. The real turning point came when Countess was just 9 years old. Her parents decided to enter her into a national talent competition called Star Search. At the time, Star Search was one of the biggest ways for young performers to get noticed in America. It was like today's America's Got Talent, but long before shows like that existed. Countess had to stand on a stage in front of millions of people, under hot studio lights, dressed in a shiny little dress, and sing a song called, "I'll Be There." She was nervous, of course, but when she opened her mouth and sang, her voice filled the room. People watching on TV could hear not just a talented child, but a performer who seemed to understand every note, every word, and every emotion she was expressing. When the judges called her name as the junior vocalist champion, and then as the overall junior champion, the camera caught a glimpse of her face before she smiled. In that moment, you could see shock and disbelief. She had just won, but even she seemed amazed that the world had finally recognized her talent. Winning Star Search opened doors for Countess very quickly. She became known as a child star who could sing, act, and perform like someone far older than her age. By the time Countess was 10 years old, she had already begun working as an actress. She was cast in a show called 227, a network sitcom starring Jackie Harry and Marla Gibbs. The show was very popular at the time, especially among black audiences, and it gave Countess her first real taste of life in front of a camera. But while the show put her in living rooms across America, it wasn't always easy behind the scenes. Countess has talked in interviews about being teased on set. Older cast members would make jokes about her body, comments that she could overhear even as she tried to focus on her lines. She smiled and performed when the cameras rolled, but the private pain of being judged for her size stayed with her. Even at a young age, Countess began to understand something about Hollywood. It loved her talent, but it would never stop commenting on her body. Despite these challenges, she kept working, growing, and learning. She went on to guest roles in shows like Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Thea, and Rock, slowly building a resume that showed her versatility as an actress. By the age of 14, Countess had already experienced both the excitement of early success and the harsh realities of Hollywood. She entered a recording studio to work on her first album, called Countess, on Charisma Records. She was still a teenager, and while most kids her age were thinking about school and friends, she was trying to navigate a professional career in music. She covered songs like James Brown's "It's a Man's World," working hard to match his energy and style. The producers were impressed, but the album didn't sell well, and it became clear that the music industry had already decided where they wanted her to fit. R&B stardom wasn't in the cards for Countess at the time, so she focused on acting, knowing that her talent could open other doors. These early experiences shaped Countess Vaughn. She learned that being gifted was not enough to guarantee success, that Hollywood could celebrate her talent while still putting her down, and that she needed to work harder than most to achieve the recognition she deserved. Breakthrough with Moesha and the Parkers. Countess Vaughn's big break came in 1996 when she was cast as Kimberly and Parker, or Kim, on the hit UPN show Moesha. Brandy starred as the lead character, and Countess was originally meant to be the funny best friend, the comic relief, the sidekick. But from the moment Countess stepped onto the set, her presence changed the energy in the room. Her laugh, her timing, and her ability to steal scenes made it impossible for anyone to ignore her. The crew laughed at her jokes, the audience loved her, and slowly, Countess began to realize that she was more than a supporting character. She had star power of her own. Even as she shined on screen, Countess faced challenges behind the scenes. The scripts often included jokes about Kim's weight or her boy-crazy personality, and while audiences laughed, the comments stung for Countess personally. Hollywood had a way of mixing the performer with the character, and she began to feel that the jokes about Kim were jokes about her. Despite the laughter, the applause, and the awards, Countess carried a private burden. She had to navigate fame as a young black actress in an industry that loved to reduce people to stereotypes. But she did it with professionalism, heart, and talent. Countess brought depth to Kim Parker, turning what could have been a one-dimensional sidekick into an unforgettable character. In 1998, her efforts were recognized when she won an NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series. This award showed that the community saw her talent and appreciated her contribution to the show. But even with this validation, the cost of fame was becoming clear. Countess had to endure scripts that constantly focused on her body, comments from other actors, and the quiet pressures of Hollywood life. It wasn't just about making people laugh, it was about staying strong, keeping her image intact, and proving that she deserved to be on that screen just as much as anyone else. Then, in 1999, Countess got another opportunity, her own show. The Parkers gave her the chance to step out of the supporting role and into the lead. Kim Parker was no longer just the sidekick, she became a co-star alongside Monique, playing a young college student navigating life, school, and family challenges. The show was a hit on UPN, running for 5 seasons and becoming a staple in black households across America. Countess now had the opening credit, the theme song, and her face front and center every week. She was finally getting the recognition she deserved. But fame still came with challenges. The scripts continued to focus on weight jokes and stereotypical humor, and the pressure to maintain her public image was constant. Behind the cameras, Countess had to navigate tension with co-stars, the complexities of network television, and the challenge of growing up in the public eye. Her personal life also brought difficulties. In 2002, she married Joseph James, and they had a son. While the family offered love and support, balancing a career, marriage, and parenthood in Hollywood was not easy. By 2005, the marriage ended, adding another layer of personal struggle. Even with these challenges, Countess remained a professional. She continued to bring life to Kim Parker, making her more than just the punchline. Her timing, heart, and commitment to her craft allowed the character to resonate with audiences long after the show ended. Countess Vaughn became a household name, not only because of her talent but because she gave everything she had to every scene, every laugh, and every line. She proved that even in an industry that often diminishes people, talent, dedication, and resilience can create a lasting legacy. Personal life, struggles, and legacy. Even after the Parkers ended in 2004, Countess Vaughn's story continued, filled with both challenges and triumphs. Hollywood is an industry that moves quickly, and after the show, she experienced the difficulty that many actors face when their long-running series ends. Jobs were not guaranteed, and the roles available often reflected the same stereotypes she had worked to rise above. Countess faced the challenge of finding work that respected her talent and gave her meaningful opportunities. At the same time, the public image of Kim Parker followed her everywhere. People remembered her as the loud, funny best friend, but few understood the hard work, talent, and personal sacrifices behind that character. Throughout her career, Countess dealt with issues that many young actors encounter but few talk about openly. She faced pressure about her body and appearance, criticism from fans and industry insiders, and the challenge of balancing personal life with professional demands. Wearing wigs for long hours, keeping her image camera-ready, and facing constant scrutiny took a toll. Behind the public smiles and applause, she had to navigate private struggles, including her own sense of self-worth and the impact of Hollywood's expectations on her confidence. Yet despite all these challenges, Countess never stopped performing. She continued to act, sing, and appear on television and stage, showing resilience and determination that inspired many fans. In addition to her professional challenges, Countess also worked to build her personal life. She became a mother, and family became an important focus for her. Balancing parenting with a career in entertainment was not easy, but she found ways to continue pursuing her passion while caring for her son. Over the years, she has shared her experiences in interviews, showing honesty and vulnerability that help fans understand the person behind the characters they loved. Countess Vaughn's story is not just about fame and television, it is about resilience, talent, and the price of success in an industry that can be both rewarding and unforgiving. Today, Countess Vaughn is remembered not only for Kim Parker and her work on UPN but for the legacy she created as a performer. She inspired young black girls on television, proving that it was possible to be funny, talented, and multidimensional. She showed audiences that behind every laugh was dedication, and that behind every role was a real person with real struggles. Countess's story reminds us that fame often comes with hidden costs and that true talent shines even when the world tries to define you by stereotypes. Her journey from a small town in Oklahoma to the national stage is a testament to perseverance, hard work, and the power of believing in oneself. Countess Vaughn is more than a character on a screen, she is an icon, a trailblazer, and a woman who gave her all to her craft while navigating the complexities of Hollywood life. Her legacy continues to inspire both actors and fans. For anyone who grew up watching Moesha and the Parkers, Countess Vaughn represents more than laughter, she represents strength, resilience, and the courage to pursue your dreams despite obstacles. Her story is a reminder that every performer has a personal journey, and sometimes the greatest performances come from those who have faced challenges quietly, yet never stopped shining. Even today, Countess Vaughn's impact can be felt in television, in the hearts of fans, and in the lives of young actors who see her as proof that talent, heart, and perseverance can create a lasting mark on the world. Childhood, early career, and rise to fame. Countess Vaughn's story begins long before she became known as Kim Parker on The Parkers. Born in 1978, she grew up with a love for performing that started almost as soon as she could talk. Even as a little girl, Countess had a voice and energy that could captivate anyone who heard her sing or perform. She began entering competitions at a very young age, and by the time she was 9, she had already made a name for herself in local talent shows. Her big break came when she won Star Search, one of the most important talent shows in America at the time. Winning that competition wasn't just about recognition, it was a ticket to the professional entertainment world, opening doors that many young performers could only dream of. From that moment, it was clear that Countess had both talent and determination, a combination that would carry her through some of the hardest times in Hollywood. After Star Search, she started getting small roles on television. These early experiences helped her learn the ropes of acting, performing, and working in front of the camera. By her teenage years, she had not only acting experience but also singing experience, releasing music and performing in various shows, showing that she could handle multiple forms of entertainment. In 1994, she began to appear in shows that targeted young audiences, gaining visibility and experience. Countess worked hard to make her way into bigger roles, understanding that the entertainment industry could be tough, especially for young black women. She had to navigate auditions, typecasting, and the constant pressure to look a certain way while proving she was more than just a child performer. This period of her life was not easy, but it helped her build resilience. She had to face rejection multiple times, learning to stand up for herself, trust her instincts, and keep going even when opportunities seemed scarce. Despite the challenges, her persistence paid off when she landed her role on Moesha, a show that focused on the life of a young black teenager in Los Angeles. On Moesha, Countess displayed her comedic talent and timing, qualities that would later define her most famous character, Kim Parker. Her work on Moesha earned her recognition, and she quickly became known for her ability to make people laugh while also bringing depth to her performances. By 1999, Countess had secured the role of Kim Parker on The Parkers, a spin-off of Moesha. This role would define her career and make her a household name. As Kim Parker, she brought humor, warmth, and relatability to the screen, creating a character that audiences loved. The Parkers ran for 5 seasons and over 100 episodes, giving Countess a platform to showcase her talent consistently. During this time, she became an icon for many viewers, especially young black women who saw themselves represented on television in a way they rarely had before. Her work on the show was praised for its comedic timing, physical comedy, and her ability to make even the simplest jokes feel real and heartfelt. Countess' success on The Parkers was not just about fame or money, it was about creating a space in Hollywood where black women could be funny, smart, and loved by audiences. At the same time, the industry was harsh. Even as Countess became famous, she faced scrutiny about her weight, her appearance, and her personal life. Hollywood often judges women harshly, and Countess was no exception. She had to deal with public comments about her body and look, which took a toll on her self-esteem. The pressure to maintain a certain image sometimes led her to make choices that were painful, such as wearing wigs that would later damage her scalp. While Countess brought joy to millions through her work, she was quietly battling personal insecurities and physical issues behind the scenes. Despite all this, her career continued to grow, and her talent was undeniable. She had won over the public, but Hollywood's system was still tough and unpredictable, especially as networks changed and new executives with different priorities came in. The Parkers' success came during a golden era for UPN, a network that produced shows with strong black casts, including Moesha, Girlfriends, One-on-One, and The Parkers. Countess was part of a generation of black actors and actresses who were given visibility on national television, creating role models for young viewers. However, this era was short-lived, as UPN merged with the WB to form the CW in the mid-2000s, and suddenly the network shifted away from black-led sitcoms. Countess, along with many of her peers, found themselves facing an industry that no longer had space for the work they had done so well. She had to adapt, finding new ways to continue her career, and her resilience would once again be tested. Struggles with Hollywood, personal challenges, and reality TV. While Countess Vaughn experienced success on television, her personal and professional struggles were mounting. One of the most difficult challenges she faced was with wigs she wore for roles and appearances. These wigs eventually caused serious damage to her scalp. They led to infections that were painful, oozed, and left permanent scars. Countess tried to hide the damage with makeup, but it was impossible to fully cover. For months, she suffered in silence, feeling embarrassed and afraid that her problem would be dismissed by the public or industry professionals. The experience took a toll on her physically and mentally, but she continued working, showing up for her roles despite the pain. In 2006, she appeared on VH1's Celebrity Fit Club, which brought more attention to her body and personal life. The show was intended to be about health and transformation, but it also exposed her to criticism from cameras, trainers, and therapists who analyzed her weight publicly. This experience reinforced her feeling that Hollywood only saw her body as something to be judged, rather than recognizing her talent and humanity. Behind the humor and charm of Kim Parker, Countess carried a sense of not being enough, a feeling that had begun when she was a child. She had spent her life trying to meet industry expectations, believing that if she could just be smaller, thinner, or look a certain way, Hollywood would accept her. But the wig damage persisted, causing physical pain that was hard to ignore. She would remove the wigs at night and see bald patches growing, feel the burning and infection, and wonder if it would ever heal. Despite this, she kept quiet and continued performing, understanding that in an industry like Hollywood, admitting weakness or health problems could have consequences. The real turning point came in March 2014, when Countess finally revealed her struggles publicly on The Doctors, a national talk show. Sitting in front of cameras, she pulled back her wig to show the scars and damage she had endured for years. People gasped at the sight, but this moment was more than about shock, it was about truth and survival. Countess wanted to show what Hollywood's beauty standards had cost her and the many other actresses who faced similar pressures. The damage was not just physical. When The Parkers ended in 2004, Countess experienced the heartbreak of losing her career stability. The network that had supported her was gone, and the new system had no place for her or the type of shows that made her famous. Opportunities became fewer, and the roles she could get were smaller and less significant. Typecasting also became a problem. She was seen primarily as Kim Parker, the funny plus-size character, and casting directors could not envision her in other roles. This type of limitation, caused by fat phobia and industry bias, restricted her career for years. During this time, she also became a mother, giving birth to her daughter in 2009. Motherhood became a source of strength and motivation, helping her stay focused and resilient even when Hollywood seemed to forget her. As opportunities diminished, Countess, like many actors facing similar challenges, turned to reality television. She joined Hollywood Divas in 2014, a show designed to give black actresses a platform to tell their stories when mainstream networks had sidelined them. The show brought together women who had been typecast, forgotten, or overlooked, creating a space for honesty and self-expression. On Hollywood Divas, Countess revealed experiences that were deeply personal, including struggles with body image, past decisions such as having an abortion as a teenager to protect her career, and the ongoing fight to be recognized beyond the roles Hollywood had assigned to her. The cameras captured her vulnerabilities, but they also allowed her to reclaim her narrative. Viewers saw her as herself, not a character, and this authenticity resonated with many people. Reality TV also gave her the chance to make peace with past conflicts, including a public reconciliation with Brandy, another star from Moesha. These moments allowed her and the audience to close chapters that had caused confusion or tension for decades. While reality TV did not fully restore her career to its previous heights, it gave Countess something equally important: the ability to tell her truth and connect with audiences on her own terms. This period also prepared her for a later resurgence in popularity, especially as streaming platforms introduced her work to new audiences who had never seen her during the original broadcast years. Revival, social media fame, and legacy. As Countess Vaughn's past work began to appear on streaming platforms, a new generation discovered her performances. Shows like Moesha and The Parkers found new audiences on platforms like Netflix, Hulu, and social media. Teenagers and young adults, many of whom were not alive when the shows first aired, began to fall in love with her character Kim Parker. Clips from her sitcom moments went viral on TikTok and Instagram, with users lip-syncing, remixing, and celebrating her comedic timing. Countess noticed this online resurgence and often shared posts or simple messages of thanks, acknowledging the younger fans who had rediscovered her work. Her social media presence grew, reaching hundreds of thousands of followers who appreciated her honesty, humor, and talent. This revival showed that her work had lasting impact, proving that the laughter she brought to audiences was timeless, even if Hollywood had moved on. In addition to online popularity, Countess returned to television in smaller roles, including guest appearances on shows like Harlem on Prime Video. These appearances celebrated her legacy without reducing her to Kim Parker alone. She continued to share stories about her struggles with body image, Hollywood pressures, and typecasting, educating audiences about the realities many actors face behind the scenes. Countess also shared insights about surviving Hollywood, managing fame, motherhood, and personal growth. Her story resonated with people who had experienced setbacks in their own careers or personal lives, showing that resilience, honesty, and perseverance are powerful tools for survival. Beyond entertainment, Countess became a symbol of empowerment. She demonstrated that even after industry erasure, public scrutiny, and physical and emotional challenges, it is possible to survive, thrive, and inspire new generations. Countess Vaughn's journey teaches that fame is temporary, but courage and authenticity endure. From winning Star Search at 9, to becoming a sitcom icon at 21, to revealing her struggles on reality TV in her 30s, and finally to inspiring a new generation online, her life is a testament to determination and self-respect. Today, Countess continues to work, sing, and engage with fans, proving that her legacy is not just the laughs she brought, but the strength and honesty she showed in facing adversity. Her story reminds us that behind every character we love on television, there is a real person with struggles, triumphs, and lessons that go far beyond the screen. Hollywood may have tried to define her, limit her, and erase her from opportunities, but Countess Vaughn survived it all, carrying her voice, her humor, and her legacy into a new era where her talent is finally celebrated for all it is. She remains a symbol of what it means to persevere when the world seems ready to forget you, showing that survival, truth, and courage are as important as talent in leaving a lasting mark on the world. Her story is more than Kim Parker, it is a lesson in resilience, honesty, and the power of refusing to be forgotten.